What nobody tells you about rotation in the downswing and why you struggle so much to get rotation into your swing, no matter what type of drills and how many shots you hit with those drills, is that you need specific things in your golf swing to be able to rotate properly. Without these things, there is no hope of you ever achieving that good rotational downswing like you want. So let's start with the three main things here that you need in your golf swing to be able to rotate. If you don't have them, there's no hope. So first one is having a square club face. So square club face meaning square to the swing arc in your swing. So here at shaft parallel to the ground, that would mean club face is matching your spine angle. So rotation will maintain your club face condition, so the angle of your club face throughout the downswing when you've got nice smooth rotation. So if you have an open club face, for example, so let's say again, shaft parallel to the ground and a takeaway, for example, toe up to the sky, and you maintain that. Rotation will also maintain that going through the golf ball. So that means that club face is going to be wide open coming into impact. You would have to slow down and you would have to flip the hand or early release it to square the club face. I couldn't tell you the amount of times I have students sending lessons over on Skillist and they've tried so many drills for so long and they don't know what's going on, and I look at it straight away and immediately in the takeaway they flip the club face open. It's sometimes that simple. So getting that student to be able to square that club face up, and then once you've got that club face squared up, like we said, rotation will maintain that club face condition going through the golf ball. So they'll keep it square to the arc. It has to be there. So you need that club face square. Even having it closed will be really a big struggle for you to be able to rotate, because a closed club face, you're going to need to do movements to re-square it. So closed club face here, shaft parallel to the ground, pointing down towards the ground there. You would typically see a player stand up, come out their posture to be able to get the hands to raise up higher. When the hands raise up higher, the club face opens up. So if you're not Dustin Johnson, you won't be able to get so much rotation to create so much shaft lean to be able to square it up via that. It's not going to be possible unless you're Dustin. So again, getting that square club face is going to be absolutely crucial to you. So a little drill I like to do with players here is get to shaft parallel to the ground, stop at this position and make sure that club face is matching your spine angle. So have it slightly towed down to where it's almost pointing at, let's say, the bottom of like a wall in front of you at the driving range there. So stop in that position and then swing up and swing through. If you can do that, the club face will be a lot squarer. Look at your grip, look at your wrist angles in relationship to your grip, and then work off that. So the second thing you need to be able to rotate, and that is having enough arm and hand depth at the top of your backswing. So this is where I would see players do this at the top of their swing, where they would have a very vertical, steep movement of their arms and their hands at the top of their swing. So you can see here, my hands are really over my toes. You can see all of my right shoulder here, to where then a player will really struggle to rotate in the downswing. Because if they did rotate, the club's going to swing massively over the top. So this is why a lot of you players, when you do rotate, you say rotation's no good. I swing over the top when I do it. This is one of the main reasons why, because your left arm depth sucks, to be perfectly honest. So you're right up here, and then for a player who really can't rotate from here, that's your body trying to hit the ball to the target. So what it's going to do, it's going to slow down the rotation and the rate of it so the hands and arms can drop down. But then we know there's no rotation going into that downswing, so there's no control over that club face. It's going to have a lot of volatility going through the shot, so lots of hand release, lots of rate of closure of the club face, and you're going to really, really struggle with that lack of depth in that downswing. So for you to be able to really get yourself into a good spot to where you can have nice rotation in the downswing, of course we know square club face is one of them, but we need to have good arm and hand depth. So really, let's talk about textbook here. We can be roughly, don't have to be exactly textbook, but it's good to know it. We would want that left arm to be covering the shoulder plane, and so we don't want to see that right shoulder at all. Again, we can be a little bit up, a little bit down, it's fine. But we would want these hands to be roughly around, again, the ankles. So dead straight down the ankles, or a little bit behind the ankles, maybe on the heels, for example. So then you could turn that downswing. Now the club isn't going to go out in front of you, because we've got to remember, rotation puts an outward force on the hands. Doesn't make them go dead straight out, but it does give them an outward force, as you can see with my arm stretched out and turning there. So that's why we have to have this depth of the lead arm more around us here, so across our shoulder blade, hands more over the heels, because then as we turn, the club then falls on path, it doesn't go out in front, so then we can just turn through the shot and then have nice enabled rotation. So again, so common, I see this all the time with students. Such an easy one to fix as well, because all you need to do is grab a long alignment stick here. So like I've got my swing plate with extension pole attachment. If you want one of these, links in the description for a discount. So when we have a long alignment stick, all we've got to do is make sure that it's covering our shoulder plane, so covering our right shoulder, the view of it. And then what we've got to do is swing underneath it. So it's about a hand's distance outside the right shoulder also. So if we swing underneath that, boom, now we've got good depth at the top. Make sure you're rotating as you're doing this, not just pulling your arms in. We want to rotate in the backswing, get a good turn. That gets the hands and arms naturally around you. So, okay, there we go. They will get that good depth. And again, look at your golf swing, see whether you need to do this. And then we'll get to it, because we're going to get to a really good drill practice kind of routine at the end of this video. But let's get into the next reason why you can't rotate. So the third thing we need here, what nobody tells you about rotation, and that is you need to stay in tilt. So we need to keep the tilt of our shoulders, so the lead side being lower, left side for me being lower than the right, and our hips. So many golfers are trying to work on their rotation, but they lift up their lead side. So let's say they lift up the left shoulder in the backswing, which would immediately heighten your swing, so your swing arc will raise up. So then what their body's got to prioritize is getting themselves back down onto the golf ball, because if they don't, this will happen. Miss the golf ball, of course, you're not going to miss it. So what your body would do, it would drop that left shoulder down, be one possibility to regain your shoulder tilt. Now the shaft's steepened, now you're over the top. Now if you continue to rotate, you're going to chop across it. You're not going to do that because you could try to hit the ball to your target, or we'll have a player excessively side bend, so really get themselves again back down to the ground, or they'll just extremely drop their hand path dead straight down. None of those you'll be able to rotate to be able to hit a functional shot. So that's where we have to keep that lead side down. We'll sometimes see players hike up the left side of their pelvis in the downswing, trying to bump the hips. But again, look what that's done. That's tilted me back. My upper body's now fallen way back. I can't turn from here now, otherwise I'm going to break my back and I'd have to flip and throw the hands. So we need to keep the tilt of our shoulders and the tilt of our hips, because when we can keep that good tilt, left side down, now I can turn and keep everything in the height of the radius of my swing nicely to the same point it's been, so I can then hit better shots with better rotation. My swing arc isn't going to be going all up and over the place. So here's a good drill to do to be able to get this. So a good drill here, get an alignment stick, put it through your belt loops, your trousers, put only a little bit coming out the right, a lot on the left there, because now we can see the tilting of our hips. So if we can keep this left side down, one, this stick pointing down in the backswing, that's going to keep your shoulder tilt. If you lift up your left shoulder, your left hip's going to lift up too. So if we can keep that left shoulder, or left hip down, sorry, left shoulder's going to stay down. And then in the downswing, we want to turn and get this stick pointing down and around, disappearing around us whilst continuing to point down. That's going to get our pressure shifting. It's going to eliminate that big hip bump. So then we're not going to be tilting back, and then we can just nicely turn through. Remember, good depth and good club face. Here you go, stick pointing down and then down and around in the downswing. So let's talk about how we can practice once we've identified why we're not rotating. Let's say out these three here, what is stopping you? And in a drill to rotate. But before we do, like I said, there are so many reasons to why you aren't rotating. These are just the three main ones that I see most commonly. But there are tons, and I've got a course all about this called the Ultimate Guide to Rotation and Downswing. It's got all the reasons to why you can't be rotating, why possibly you're not, is in that course, and there's a link in the description here. It's on the app version of Skillest, but stay tuned, I'm going to be putting it on a course site very, very soon, so a site dedicated just for it. But it will also always be available on Skillest, so you can go and purchase that. Link in the description. Of course, if you want my personal help with it, online lesson link is in the description as well. So okay, what we want to be doing, let's say I'm the golfer who has the left arm is too high. Okay, what we could be doing here is then, okay, we know a drill to do for that. We just talked about it earlier, and that is having the swing plate. Again, me saying a link in description all the time, there's a link for this as well, like we said earlier, if you want one of these. So what we do, extend it out. We know, okay, we have it covering our shoulder plane, that's it. And then we have it, so we need to swing underneath it, rotate nicely in the backswing. That's gonna get us our depth. But what a lot of golfers who know about this topic, about root causes, they'll think, okay, if I fix the root cause, I'm going to fix the problem. No, you're not. You're just going to get it in the environment to where it can work. If you're not working on a rotation drill along with this, you're just going to get more deep, and then you're going to stay unrotated in the downswing and swing massively from the inside, hit these huge hooks. So this is where we work on the rotation portion too. So that's where you can pair it with something like this, the chair drill, which is going to work on the rotational portion. So you're working on root cause and effect, which is here. So, okay, I know what I want to do with this, but what I'm doing with the chair here, I'm wanting to push it back in the backswing. That's going to give me that turn, but then pushing it back with the left hip in the downswing, really pushing it back. That's going to open up my hips. That's going to open up my chest. That's going to rotate me. Swing underneath this in the backswing, push this back in the downswing with my left hip. And then we've got that depth, we've got the rotation, we're working on the best things we can. So again, this is going to be individual for player to player, but we want to be making sure we're working on this properly, because I know so many of you out there are working on your rotation drills all the time. And when you send in a video to me on Skillist, you're doing so many things in your golf swing that's stopping you from rotating that you're ultimately just spinning your wheels and wasting your time. So that's why you've got to have a good look at your swing. Like I said, there's help down there in the description, courses or me to help you personally, but this is going to give you a little bit more info, and it's exactly what nobody talks about when it comes to rotation in the downswing. So the only channel I'm aware that talks about this is probably George Gankus, talks about it quite a lot, or myself, about variables in the golf swing, but how important they are. There's undoubtedly more. There's going to be comments in the description saying this guy talked about it, this guy talked about it. Of course there is, probably is, but from what I know, not many people talk about variables and how they affect your rotation. So absorb this knowledge. Absolutely, you could watch through this a good few times. I really recommend that. But other than that, this is going to help you. So if you like the video, click the like button if you want more golf instruction, just like this. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button too to be notified every time I put out a video.